Hello, besties. How are you tonight? It's been quite the week. So much drama in the Bravo universe. It's really hard to keep up with the whole drama that's been happening on every single one of the shows. First off, I want to thank you all for tuning last night when I spoke to Laura Jensen. She shared all her story. She didn't hold back. And I appreciate all the feedback that we had gotten from the interview has been amazing, and it's all thanks to you. And like I said it before, 2023 is going to be a big year here on Martini with Eddie, and so far it has been amazing. Um, yes, tonight we're gonna be talking about Potomac, the reunion that started with a bang. We're gonna be talking about family karma and also Summer House. Each in one of these shows has brought so much drama and a lot of like heavy topics to talk about. You know, we will be diving into those topics as we go along. But I want to start with Potomac. The reunion, I mean, if you think about it, I think Miss Robin was feeling like she got away with murder by sharing her truth after they filmed the reunion. As you guys know, um, a couple of weeks after they shot the reunion, she went on her podcast and revealed that she knew all along about Juan Dixon DMing some girl from Canada that came to America after the pandemic, and she lost her wallet, and Juan came to save her and just drop off his credit card. I mean, he's so generous. And if you're not getting the tone, I'm being sarcastic. Um, but the reunion started with that. Literally, the first 5 minutes of the reunion is Bravo making sure that Robin Dixon was dragged for hiding that truth and then trying to capitalize it on a Patreon. We saw that Andy brought that up on Watch What Happened Live before, but they used that clip uh, just to make sure that we know that they haven't forgotten and we are going to talk about it. One of the first topics that we saw the ladies talking about was the sitting of the reunion. We as viewers, we were all wondering why they decided that sitting. Like, what was the thought process behind it? Because it didn't make any sense. When they released it, I was wondering why is Wendy sitting on the opposite side as Candace and Karen, who are the people who has been, on the same team. And then we saw, you know, Robin on one side, and we saw um, Giselle on the other one. Ashley was sitting between Giselle and Wendy, and to me that didn't make any freaking sense. But based on what Andy said, it's like they decided to do that because every single one of those ladies has had some kind of issue they need to solve, and it was really hard to pick a sitting chart, and that's how they got to that point. I was confused. It was random, so random. Even Robin said it herself. She said, like, this is the most random sitting ever. And I agree. I honestly didn't get it. But we got some kind of answer from Andy. And we're gonna go with it. We're gonna say every single one of those ladies had a issue with each other. You know what I'm saying? So um it was hard not to talk about Robin finally getting married. Andy asked how she's doing, and obviously she went and said that everything's great. The Dixon household and Miss Karen didn't hold back her annoyance, and she was bored. She was yawning the whole entire time, and I was laughing because I like how Karen throws shade every time that she had the chance in the most subtle way. She is so subtle, but you know that she is throwing major shade. Obviously, the topic of conversation that Andy introduced Candace with was with Sesame Street. He even asked her how to get there, if she had the address to it. And Candace was like, no, 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 you gotta ask Ashley that because she had the keys. It's a reference to the friend that obviously was not invited to the reunion. And she posted a photo with a blue outfit too. I forgot her name. You get, the Sesame Street lady. She posted a photo with like a romper, and I'm like, no, girl, like, no, this is so embarrassing for you. First off, I'm 100% sure that she was not going to get invited regardless. She's not that involved in the drama. She was not that interested. I don't even remember her name. I remember her as the Sesame Street lady. That's how irrelevant she is. So, Andy, he was trying to get, Candace all, riled up and ready, and he asked her if the dress was a homage to Cookie Monster, and she said, "Yeah, the inspiration is definitely the Cookie Monster." That's what I love about Candace. Candace is doesn't take this too seriously. She is going with it. She knows that she is going to prevail on this reunion. She's prepared. She's taking any of this type of like shade as like a joke. She's like, yeah, I'm dressed as the Cookie Monster. Let's go. I'm ready. So I'm still processing the whole Michael Darby and Ashley situation. We found out that Ashley went through the whole process of getting a house with Michael Darby. And also, we found out that Michael Darby has access to that house. He has his own set of keys. And I ask you, besties, is that okay? Does that make any freaking sense to you? Or am I just going crazy here? Because I don't get it. No shit, Luke and Ashley didn't work out. Imagine being home with the person you're dating, and there he walks in, the ex. I agree with Luke when Andy asked Ashley what was the advice that Luke gave her, and she said that Luke told her that she needs boundaries. Like, come on. And there was a hot mic moment. There was a hot mic moment between Giselle and Ashley, where Ashley told Giselle that she felt that she was being, you know, led along, and maybe Luke was not that serious on the relationship, and she felt like he was being serious, but in reality he wasn't. I'm not sure how I feel about that one because I kind of like look for Ashley. I really do. I think I'm one of the few people that think they make a good couple. Maybe I'm just rooting for Ashley to find, like Candace said, a new set of young balls instead of, wrinkly ass Michael Darby's balls. You know, Luke and Ashley made a good couple. That is for sure. To me, that makes sense. And maybe she just found a new set of young balls. Ashley needs to be out there dating, having a good time because she was married to Michael Darby. And yeah, I don't want to be shady. I don't want to call out his physical appearance, but his laugh alone, if every time the Bravo showed that clip of Michael Darby doing that horrible Gollum laugh, like, I'm like, oh God, Ashley, why? Why? What do you see in this guy? Like, come on. We all know it was not the face. We all know it was not the face. Um, it's so funny because somebody sent in a question. Her name was Portia. And there were two funny moments in that question. One part was when Mia said that Ashley didn't secure the bag. That was what Portia was asking. She was saying, did you get married to secure the bag? And Mia said, well, she didn't. She didn't secure the bag. But as she's talking, Candace said, Portia, like Portia Williams. And she laughed. I'm like, I love when housewife mention other housewife as like I mean it just makes the whole reunion so much fun. And like I said before, Candace to me was the MVP of the reunion. So we're gonna be talking about Candace a lot because this first episode kind of was all about Candace, either Candace or Wendy. They both were dragging every single one of those ladies on that panel. They didn't skip one bit, especially when it came down to face those who tried to manipulate the story, like Giselle, Robin, and Ashley. Even me, I was dragged by Wendy. Literally every time the Wendy had the chance to drag Mia, she took that opportunity and she ran with it. Like, for example, when Mia was talking about Wendy's husband being at the hospital and being like thirsty for filming her with the iPhone at 5 in the morning. And Wendy said, like, well, maybe your next husband will do the same for you when you are at the hospital, like being there for you at 5 in the morning. And Mia didn't know how to even reply to that. She didn't have any comeback because she knew that even though she was trying to call Eddie thirsty and whatever, Eddie has been there for Wendy every single time that she need him. And she can say the same thing about, Papa G, you know? Even when Wendy was talking about, you guys remember that hot mic that happened at the beginning? That was quite hard because I'm on Team Wendy, but that moment was questionable as fuck. um, Definitely knew how to like explain to Mia how the hot mic was. Yeah, it was. I mean, oops, I said it. Yes, I did. Uh, I call Robin a liar, but it was for different reason. No, it was not because she Wendy said that she didn't believe 100% that Mia was all that sick. And once again, Mia couldn't even have a comeback in that moment because Wendy was dragging her every single time. And Caitlin Marshall sent in a message. She said, yes, Wendy ate Mia with this part one, LOL. It is true. Every single time that Mia had tried to go after Wendy on this reunion, um, Wendy had a comeback. Wendy was ready. Wendy was prepared for the reunion. Something that I don't think Mia was that ready. I think Mia thought that she was going to be able to drag Wendy by trying to make her feel like Mia was exposing Wendy about being thirsty or being a liar. And every single time that she tried to go after her, Wendy was like, "No, Satan, not today, not today." Even let's talk about Mia for 1 second. We had a whole segment with Mia trying to explain to us how she got voted out of the position of her businesses, and you just can't. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how her businesses work, but I own a business with a friend. We both had an LLC created as a partnership. We created an LLC to protect our personal incomes and personal tax information attached, just in case. That's what most people do. For those who don't understand, an LLC protect your personal from your business. So when we created an account, a bank account for our business, we both had to sign on it, and we both had to sign on things that were important, not like just like taking money out of like paying for something, or like taking money out of at a an ATM. None of that stuff. I'm talking about big chunk of money that was coming in and out, or if we needed to dissolve the bank account, we both needed to sign on it. So I still don't understand how Mia, who is the CEO of the business, suddenly has no access to that money. I mean, I'm just guessing that she was one of those people who needed to sign on the bank to get that money. So did Mia lie about her position on the business? Is she not a CEO? Is she just part of the board and the board outed her and Papa G of the whole entire business? Which honestly, I'm still confused about the formation of the board. Because first was three, then was four, then was eight. And then she tried to say they were manager position and whatever. And I'm thinking, not on a board. You can be a manager. That doesn't make your vote like at the same level as a CEO. A manager is literally under pretty much all the people on a board. So that was really confusing. And no one on that panel was buying it. Nobody. That's the funniest part. The funniest part is that once again, Wendy is like, I don't think that's how it works. I don't think nobody bought it. You guys, if you guys are listening to me right now, and you have an explanation that makes sense about Mia's position in this business and uh why she wasn't able to get access to the bank account when the brother of G took over the business. If you have any explanation that makes sense, please go to my Twitter, to my YouTube channel, to my Instagram, and leave your comment. Or if you are live right now with me, you can go to the live chat and explain to me your perspective, and I can share with everybody because honestly, I have no idea. It was just really confusing. There was even mentioning of embezzlement on the show because she was using the money to like redo a house that was rented. Based on the show, we have to be very clear here. Sometimes these ladies just like to bedazzle the truth for the viewers, so we think that they have this access to amount of money that most of us don't have. Like saying that she used, was it $60,000 to redo a house that she's renting for 10,000 a month, and explain to me how that make any sense. So the word embezzlement was thrown in the mix, and Wendy called out Mia by saying everything that you're talking right now is Housewife 101. You know, the misuse of money, wire frauds, and all this conversation we had it with other housewives, and I think that's what Mia was trying to say. I mean, we are very fresh. We are very fresh from Jen Shaw's shenanigans in Salt Lake City. I mean, we all saw that. We all saw what Jen Shaw did for the past decade or whatever to, have access to money. So that's why I feel like Wendy was kind of trying to put that out there. I think it was very valid. What do you guys think? I have a message from Caitlin. I'm gonna read it for you guys. It says Mia ain't the CEO, and G probably borrowed the money from the brother. Then the brother wanted his loan back. Even Giselle thought there was possible embezzlement. Yes, the whole money movement behind this business is kind of questionable. And I'm not saying that every housewife that has money, um, that money came from, like, you know shady businesses. I'm not trying to imply that. I don't think. I'm not saying. I'm not saying that they have any shady business. And this is very important to remember. Everything that we said on this show, like Caitlin Marsh just said, allege. Everything is allegedly. I'm not getting sued. I'm not getting a cease and desist letter. So what we're talking about right now, especially when it comes to money and businesses, is alleged. Let's keep that in mind. We need to make sure that if somebody listens to this, perhaps a housewife, I don't want them to think that we are accusing them from doing anything shady. But we need to talk about the fact that this whole explanation of her business doesn't make any sense. Right? Another person that was irritating me this whole entire season, once again, pretty much every season she irritates me, is Giselle. Giselle has absolutely nothing going on with her life. And she has made it like her way to stay on the show is by going after other people's marriages. And during this season, we all know that she went after Chris, and obviously after Candace. And there was a message that Chris sent to Giselle, and Candace said that this was done before this whole mess became the bigger mess that it is right now. As you read that message, Chris never implied that he did anything wrong. And Chris didn't apologize for what he did. He apologized if Giselle felt uncomfortable, how she felt. And like I said it before, I said it many times. Just because Giselle felt in some kind of way, it doesn't mean that Chris was trying to do anything inappropriate or cross a line with her. I said it before too. Giselle feelings are valid, but that doesn't make Chris this like sexual harassing kind of person. And that's what she was trying to paint him as. And that is problematic as fuck. Because you can lose everything for something like this. If production didn't keep receipts along the way, this whole entire season, we will be having a different conversation right now. We will be talking about Chris as he was trying to commit some kind of harassment or a pass on Giselle, because that's how it made us feel when she told everybody on national TV. But luckily, Candace was, no, this is not gonna be the season that you guys gonna tarnish my husband's reputation. And we will never forget when she broke that fourth wall, looking to the camera, and stormed out looking for the producer. And then Giselle tries to like masquerade an apology under all her like, oh my gosh, yeah, and I'm sorry, but no, I'm not that sorry. And then Candice said, you know what, you can take that apology and shove it up your ass. And rightful so. It's very damaging to put those words, those feelings, and that energy into the universe um when there was no intention of wrongdoing. This whole thing was so planned, and I hope we get an answer on that, because I sent that question in, and many people sent that question in too. I saw it when they asked, on Twitter to send questions. People were asking, was Giselle and Ashley producing this before the season started? They need to come out and say, yes, we sat down and we planned this. Because Giselle, she planted the seed, and then here comes Ashley with her Sesame Street friend that I forgot her name. That's why I'm calling her that. Don't come for me. I'm not saying that she looked like a Muppet. I'm just saying that I forgot her name. I remember her as the Sesame Street lady. So that's why Candace was on 100 on that first episode. And I can see why she is going to come out of this reunion as the MVP. I love Karen. Karen, it's great at subtle shade and very direct. But this first episode, she didn't say one word. It was more reactions to her face, which add to the whole story. But she didn't say one word. I'm just guessing that we are gonna get Karen activated as soon as Cherise join the panel. I'm looking forward to that one because that's gonna be intense. And even when Giselle was trying to defend herself by saying, "Oh my gosh, people are trying to say that I come for their family," and Wendy said, "Yes, you do, bitch. Yes, you do. Yes, you do." Like she didn't even skip one bit. She said it like right on the spot, calling her out because she has done that. She is part of that people who has gone after every single housewife that has a successful marriage or a successful career. She went after Wendy. She went after Candace. She has gone after Karen since season one. She went after Monique. Is every single season a different person? Because once again, she has nothing going on. Like, like Candace called it out. She called her out. by saying you have an uterus. I don't even know how to say that word. I'm sorry. Uterus. You know, she had the vagina problem. She had that thing going on. That's something that people can relate to her. You know, that struggle that you are going through such a like, dangerous and delicate health issue. But yet you focus on fucking somebody else's family. You know, I would like Giselle to share that part of her life. You know, how she is fighting that illness, what she's doing. She talked about it for like 20 minutes in one episode. And that is something that it's can be she can be on like I hate when people take the role of like, oh, I'm the voice of this cause, but she could be that person on this show because that's a platform to talk to people who are going through the same thing, people who are dealing with this health struggle, and she didn't do that. She decided just to go after Candice and Chris because she felt that was easier to talk about instead of talking about something that it actually mattered in her life. You know, I was baffled when, there was another hot mic moment when Giselle asked Andy if he had sex with a woman before, and Andy was like, "No, I had never. I'm curious about it." So I found out, I didn't know that Andy was a gold star gay. Um, but then she said like, "If you haven't had sex with a woman like by 60, I'll do it." I'm like, "Girl, that's your boss. That's so weird. That is so freaking weird." Andy said it himself. That's like an HR problem. Like, come on, girl. Like, sit down. And I'm thinking, Giselle is so desperate to stay on the show that she will go to the extreme to have sex with Andy. I mean, that's how I felt like, that what she meant. It might not be what she meant, but that's how I felt. I'm like, that's your boss. That's the person who hired you to be sitting on that couch, and you're telling them that you might have sex with them if they haven't tried women by 60. He's in his 50s, I think, right? So he's not that far from that moment. So that was weird. Weird, weird, weird. So like I said, you guys, this first episode was so good that I'm excited for the next one because we still have so much to talk about. We still have the Cherie situation. We have more of Candace versus everybody else. Um, and I'm sure we're gonna be talking about Robin because in the beginning of the show they said that they have extra footage from that sit down between Andy and Robin, and it will be so crazy if the season ends, like the reunion ends, with Andy firing Robin right on the spot for doing something that goes against her contract on the show. I hate using people to set an example, but if Robin gets away with this without proper, actions from Bravo, it sets a tone for other housewives to withhold information from the viewers and production and wait until the end to charge for a Patreon so people can find their truth, as if viewers were not just paying cable and Peacock to stream their episodes. Now that the viewers have to pay a Patreon to add to the whole thing or listen to a podcast, which, by the way, I had never once had listened to uh, whatever shady Giselle and Robin's podcast. I had never once. So that was, I'm gonna leave it right there because we are going to talk about this reunion for two more episodes, and I know there's a lot more tea coming out of that reunion, which, by the way, has been really great to watch a season ending on such a high. I hate when the reunion is a snooze fest because it's the moment to actually battle for your next contract. So one thing that I'm going to say is the ladies of Potomac, like them or not, I don't like Giselle and Robin. I'm very open about it. And I hope Robin get the reputation that she deserved for what she did. But beside that, I think that every single one of them brings something to the table. I love a cast that clocks in every single time to get their paycheck. Some other franchises should learn from them. These women, all of them, even Giselle and Robin, with their awful fashion sense that I still don't understand how you have no stylist or a friend or a gay friend to tell you what to wear and what work for your body because they have, I don't know what who dressed them because they dress horribly, but every single one of them this reunion at least tried to look great and they make sense together. They are no, they are raising the bar for other franchises. I mean, we just had Salt Lake City recently, and even though Salt Lake City was a step up from the previous one, because the previous one was a hot mess. I'm talking about the fashion. Um, at least it looked better this time, but still was kind of like, eh. But the ladies of Potomac are definitely raising that bar real high, and I'm happy for them. I'm excited for what is coming. This reunion is given, and we're gonna be talking about it even more. Now we're gonna be uh, changing the conversation to family karma. I'm gonna be quick with this one, with family karma and Summer House. I want to focus on the bigger conversation topics on these shows. Family karma, to me, is one of the most real when it comes to the drama. It's the most relatable one. True friendship, true family dynamics, and on top of that, you add a gay wedding from cultures that are very conservative. Enrit come from a very conservative Indian culture, and Nicholas come from a very conservative, I think it's a Christian uh, family. So on this episode in particular, we see Nicholas and Enrit's mom having a conversation that honestly I have not cried this much in a long time because it hit home. As a gay person myself, um, I think when it comes down to marriage and weddings and preparing yourself to to take that step, you still feel like for some people you need to explain everything and you need to find validation. You need to kind of fit what you want to people's cultures and based on how society works, even weddings. I mean, not right now, obviously, not anymore, but still feels like it's based on gender roles. You know, what the the groom does and what the bride does. So people, when they go to gay weddings, they're expecting one of the men to be the bride. That's not how it works, you know. So there was this conversation between Nicholas and Amber's mom that, you know, it was hard to watch because we understand. I understand that the Enrich family do love Nicholas, but there's always miscommunication and there's misinterpretation when there is already stress on their shoulder. So this conversation needed to be had. Nicholas was feeling that the Enrich parents were not that excited about the wedding because it was not 100% traditional with what gender roles in the Indian culture is all about when it comes to wedding. But they didn't mean it that way. You know, when when I saw Henry's mom crying, it broke my heart because you can tell that she was trying to explain to Nicholas it was not my intention, and it was just miscommunication. She said like because in the previous episode she told them that it didn't feel like a wedding, it felt like a vacation. And Nicholas took it in a way that he felt like she's just saying that it doesn't feel like a wedding because it's not a man and a woman getting married, you know. And she just said like I meant it in the way that it feels so relaxed and meeting your parents, who by the way they didn't want to be filmed because they don't want to be associated like their faces with a gay wedding even though it's their son. That's how heavy this topic is, you guys. It's it's hard to explain to people who has never gone through this. I mean, I don't want to get way too personal on this conversation because I like to keep it light, but I had a similar situation with my own family. I when I first came out, I didn't speak to my mom for a very long time because her religious beliefs made her feel like she felt as a mother and that I was going to hell. So a lot of the years that we didn't talk and and me growing into the person that I am right now as a gay man in society, a lot of those steps my mom wasn't part of those because she didn't want to talk about it or she didn't want to have that conversation. Fast forward to now, we are great. It's like nothing happened, but it was very heavy years, you know. And as me, there's many gay men out there who has gone through something like that. So seeing Nicholas and Henry's parent having that conversation, it was heavy to watch because it hit home, and I'm pretty sure many viewers felt that way too. I am excited though to watch this wedding. It's coming up this weekend. The gay weddings are not basic. That we know. Gay men and gays, LGBTQIA people, we are not basic. We do everything a little extra. And I'm 100% sure that they're going to go all the way. Um, One of the things that I loved about this episode was when Enrich's mom said, um, I always think when God give us lemons, just put a little sugar and make it sweet, sweet lemonade. Or you can put some alcohol and make margaritas. And that is to me my new life motto. Especially now that we're going into the summer. I want those lemons to turn into margaritas. I want to share this with you guys. Aaron just shared with us weddings, even though on TV make me cry. I agree. I'm not a big person to cry about little things on TV, but there are particular situations that they do, and weddings are one of those. Um, for some reason, it just make me feel like it's it is such a happy moment for a couple. And we saw Risha and we saw Vishal getting married on this season two. That was the opening of this season, and now we closing this season with another wedding. So it was the year of the weddings in family karma. Another topic that I want to talk about is Bali and her daughter. I love their dynamics, and there was a moment where Bali shared with everybody production that she she fakes sometimes being in a good place because she doesn't want that to be reflected on her daughter, on you know her relationship, and she shared before that she's afraid to fail, and that is another reality. A lot of people who has been married before and they get into a new relationship, it's hard to get into that mentality that it might work. No, you already failed once, so you think that when you become a couple once again that lives together, it's gonna ruin things, and that is a very valid feeling. I totally get the feeling. I totally get how she felt, and I know, as we know, that um, she's in a great place right now. Her relationship is great. If you guys haven't listened or watched my interview with Bali, I will say go listen to it because she shared so much of her personal um, life right now, like right now after the show. And I think it would make a lot of sense with what's happened right now. Because watching it now and listen to what she said and the experience of talking to her directly, it makes so much sense now. And I'm so happy that she is in a happy place, that she is thriving, and her relationship is in a great place. But for those who have been married before and ended in a divorce or separating, I think you will definitely feel so connected with her story because it's real. It's That's how people feel when they have felt in a relationship in such a big part of their life. So it's really hard to restart, or it's really hard um, to think that just moving in with somebody can even trigger the failure of that relationship. So please, if you have the opportunity, go listen to the podcast that I did with Bali. Her episode is really fun, and I'm sure you're gonna love it. That with family karma. That's what I wanted to talk about. You know, one is marriage, and one is starting a new relationship and making sure that you know that your mind is not stuck in the past. Let's talk about. I want to talk about a little bit before we go into summer house. I want to talk about very briefly because I'm gonna go into that in my next episode, and it's the whole Joe Gorga and Joe Judice, running into. I don't know what side are you guys are on. I don't know what you think. I still believe that Joe Gorga took the opportunity and he's thirsty to go after Teresa. He's trying to have a moment. But I am laughing at the fact that Melissa replied as Joe and then they had to delete it. And then she said that it was because Joe had her phone. And that is one clown. That is fucking one clown short of a circus. That was a hot mess. And we will go into that in the next episode. I just wanted to mention it because it's been in my mind. But my opinion, the whole thing is that Joe Gorga took the opportunity to just get a video with Joe Judice because he knows that it will trigger Teresa. This is not him trying to make amends with Joe Judice. He spent a whole season trashing him last season. And he spent many episodes talking about his nieces because they have been very vocal about him trashing their dad. And yes, I understand that Joe Judice is not a great dad, that he committed a crime, he put Teresa in jail because of that crime, and all this stuff. But you guys gotta remember one thing: that's still those girls' dad. And no matter what a parent does, you still don't want people to be talking about him because in your eyes they still your parents, and we don't know if Joe Judice is a, like a bad dad to the girls outside the show. We don't know the real dynamics outside the show, especially because he's been out of the show for such a long time. He's been living in Italy, he's been traveling to be close to the ladies, and I mean to the girls. Caitlin is questioning, were they in New Jersey or the Bahamas when they ran into Joe Judice? That was confusing to me. Yeah, they were in the Bahamas. That was when they were on a vacation. So yes, that is my take on that. I want to just to leave it right there so we can go into depth on my review of New Jersey. Now we're gonna go real quick into Summer House because holy guacamole, holy shit, this season is crazy, crazy, crazy. The drama that's been happening between pretty much everybody versus Carl and Lindsay is insanity. And yes, some people feel like people are singling out Lindsay, and you know, she I feel like she has had issues with clicking with everybody on that show since the moment that she got on it. Like this is nothing new. This is not nothing like happening on this episode. No, no, no. This has been happening since she got on this show, and it feels like maybe now since Carl is dating her, the whole dynamic of the house is just a shit show. And I want to start by talking about Maya and Lindsay's conversation. It feels to me, I don't know, I wasn't there. I didn't read the messages. I didn't read the text messages. But it feels to me that Lindsay was the one who was not nice to Mia in that moment, but she didn't realize it because she feel entitled to talk for Carl because they are dating. So in her mind, she's like, okay, I can maybe be a little louder, but I'm okay because I'm defending my boyfriend in her head without realizing how she was making Mia feel. And during this conversation, this whole entire time, Mia's trying to, to tell her that what happened in that car ride was, you know, very uncomfortable for her because Lindsay made Mia feel like she was hitting on Carl in a very inappropriate way. Not just the smoking part. And we spoke about this in the in the last review, in the last recap. Honestly, Carl said himself that he was California sober. So when Lindsay is trying to tell Mia, "Oh, you're trying to invite my boyfriend to smoke with you," But I stopped drinking for him. I'm like, first of all, that was your decision. So you shouldn't throw that on her face. You decided to sober up to support your boyfriend. Which, by the way, on the last episode, she said that she drinks wine with her auntie. And she was drinking wine with the girls behind Carl's back. So I don't know. You know, Mia said that Carl has smoked with her, that they bonded over that too. So she felt comfortable texting Carl about smoking. Also, she said that she didn't know that Carl was struggling with his sobriety. So maybe this miscommunication added layers to how Lindsay, made her feel. But I had seen a lot of people going after Mia for this, especially people saying that because Carl is sober, she shouldn't be texting him about smoking pot. But she didn't text him about drinking. That's the point. She didn't text him about doing coke or any type of heavy drug. She felt comfortable texting him because they had done this in the past while he is sober. So it's not her fault. If she was texting Carl about drinking, you know, if Mia was inviting Carl to a bar and get drunk, that is a problem. That is highly problematic because she knows what Carl is trying to do. He's trying to eliminate alcohol and heavy drugs from his system. I want to share this right here from Caitlin. She said, "I think Carl knows she's drinking, but it sounds like Lindsay's holding that over his head a bit that she went sober to support him. Maya didn't know he wasn't California sober. You are 100% right. I mean, and that's the thing. I I I don't like when people throw on people's faces that they're doing something for you. Like, yeah, you didn't have to. Like, I don't think that Lindsay needed to go sober and complain about it. If you are doing something for Carl because that's your boyfriend, that's 100% your prerogative, and that's cool. That's great. That shows that you love the person. But if you're out there saying, I went sober for him, and yeah, and sometimes, I feel like drinking, but I don't drink because he's around, it feels like it's a weight on your shoulders instead a reasoning for you to do something to help somebody else. So don't do that. Either either do it and stay quiet or just don't do it. Period. And no, I'm not trying to drag Lindsay. I don't think. Also, I want to talk about this in a minute because this is another topic that we need to talk about. The whole Kyle and Carl situation. I don't think Lindsay is 100% at fault for Carl wanting to leave, Loverboy and wanting more money or not wanting to be friends with Kyle. I don't think she's 100% on that because you just don't um stop doing what you love or hanging out with the people that you love because somebody else telling you to stop doing it. Unless Carl has such a weak personality, which I don't think. I think he has gone through a lot in his life that he knows that he can make his own decisions. And it seems to me that Carl is more focused on creating memories with Lindsay than his own job. that conversation between Kyle and Carl at the beach, where Carl is saying, "Oh, I just want some more recognition. I'm the face of the company," and I'm thinking, if that's your job, I mean, you want a gold star? I mean, what's happening here? Also, yes, when you are working, you want people to recognize your what you're doing. You want people to say, "Hey, you're doing a great job," and all this stuff. But I find it very strange. I find that very strange that two people who call themselves best friends haven't had this conversation, which by the way is very simple. I know how hard it is to build a business and work with a friend. Like I mentioned before, I was talking about it. Well, we were talking about Potomac. My best friend and I had a business. You know, my best friend and I had a business that we closed down during the pandemic because we were parting ways, and it was time to do it. We thought that it was not going to survive the pandemic, so we closed it. But forming that business and the years it took us to make a successful business were hard. And they put a very, very heavy weight on our friendship because we were fighting while working. And that fight happening at work was kind of like making its way into our life outside work. So hanging out together became an issue because we will talk about work when we shouldn't be talking about work when we're just hanging out. And whatever feeling we had at a meeting would leak into our weekend plans. And the friendship was hurting. So I saw that happening last night between Carl and Kyle, where Carl's unhappiness with his job was affecting his friendship with Kyle because he couldn't be open because maybe in his mind he's thinking if I tell Kyle that I'm not happy working at Loverboy, he's gonna take it as like I don't wanna be your friend. I I was all for Kyle until that last scene of the episode. I do think that Kyle had a point when he said that that Lindsay was bored, you know, because she is not working or something like that, and she's telling him, telling Carl like, you know what, just leave Loverboy so we can have more time together. I'm not saying that that's the reason, but I think that could be part of it because they are in a brand new relationship, you know. So I do believe that Carl had a point. I mean, Kyle had a point there when he felt like maybe Lindsay is telling Carl, let's spend more time together. You put in too much work into Loverboy and you don't see the results. I personally think that Carl and Lindsay have outgrown the show. They are checked out. They are literally sleeping or on a corner, the two of them talking or complaining about everybody else while everybody else are having a good time. And if Carl is really struggling with his sobriety, I do not think it's smart to go to the Hamptons every weekend where you're going to drink. I mean, he did it last season. He had a great time based on what we saw last season. But right now, he's so focused on his relationship that Lindsay and Carl are living in a little island while everybody else are doing their own thing. So at that point, like as much as well, just don't join the crew. Don't join the show. Do your own thing. Try to get a spin-off. The Carl and Lindsay adventures, whatever, there's so many layers to this argument between Kyle, Carl, and obviously Lindsay's dragged into it. And Maya too is there too. It's 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 layers of years and years and years of struggle. I mean, Kyle shouldn't have said what he said at the end of the episode. This whole story about Carl being uh, not able to get a job or not qualify in some level because he was always drunk or high on something, and he forgot his laptop because he was high on something. This whole story, I don't think it was um, right for him to be talking about it on such a public you know platform. I'm not just talking about the show as a show. I'm talking about him talking about his friend at a restaurant with people that are not working for Loverboy. I feel like this type of conversation should have been done behind closed door in an office because it's a work related conversation. The the fact that Carl went to California without telling the board or the people that he needs to like um you know the people he needs to talk to or work with or you know do whatever he needs to do, that he didn't mention anything about going to California, I think that's wrong. And anyone can get fired for doing something like that. So he is lacking at work. But that conversation should have been done between Kyle and Carl behind closed doors in an office. If they wanted to invite the cameras will be there because that's part of the show. But telling this to Maya while Danielle is listening, and that it's gonna start a whole issue is not good, not good at all. And I feel bad for Carl at that point because it's like bringing dirty laundry that happened many years ago. And yes, we cannot ignore either the fact that Carl was having a lot of drug and drinking issues, and Kyle was there to help him and to bring him into this job and to you know open the doors to his friend and go through it with him. I mean, we cannot ignore that part either. I think a lot of people are going really hard on Kyle for what he said, or because Kyle's not sober. He drinks, and Carl does, and but Kyle has been drinking all along as Carl gets sober, and they still manage to have a friendship. They still manage to uh, to be there for each other. That's why I'm like this new relationship with Lindsay, which by the way, I'm kind of jealous of them a little bit because they love to take photos together all the time. They're traveling all the time. They were posting stuff, the little cute posts on Instagram that sometimes are so cringy. But I'm like, God damn it! Like maybe I'm just a little jealous of their happiness. But I understand where both sides are coming from. Because, like I mentioned before, working with friends is not easy. It tends to ruin friendships. Luckily, my friend and I had a conversation. We sat down and we said we are either going to work this through it to save our friendship and our business, or we're going to have to like end it. That was not the end of the business. No, the pandemic ended it, which is sad because we were doing amazing. Like, so I can see how Carl and Kyle are feeling. I do believe that Carl was wrong to go to California without asking proper permission. and maybe Carl should be a little more open to Kyle and speak what he's in his mind. If he doesn't want to go to bars and be the face of Loverboy, maybe he should said that before, not in a not at a vacation in the Hamptons. Like talk about it in the city. Like let's sit down and let's see what's happening because obviously he's not interested on his job anymore. On the other hand, Kyle shouldn't have said what he said about Carl at that dinner table. Period. There's no there's no but. He should have said that. And he said it himself on Watch What Happen Live. He knows it. He said, wrong place, wrong time. He said, what I said was not lies. I'm not trying to say anything that can damage his, reputation and his image or his journey in his sobriety. But wrong place, wrong time. And it's gonna get heated because Danielle is about to explode, and that was when the episode ended. So I guess we're gonna have to wait until next week so we can finish this conversation. But those are my feelings and my opinions on this latest episode of Summer House. And if you guys are enjoying the conversation, you know what to do. Go to Martini with Eddie on YouTube or my podcast, which is available on all podcast platforms, and subscribe. I do 3 episodes a week. I have one with a guest and 2 recap episodes. As you guys know, this is a live show, so everybody can come on and join and send questions and opinions. So I'm here to enjoy this Bravo universe with everybody. Also, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram as Martini with Eddie. I also have my own website, martiniswitheddie.com. And I just actually just now I opened a Facebook page also as Martinez with Eddie. Go follow all my platforms. Each and every single one has different tea and it's fun and we're here for a good time. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Hold on. I got a question from Aaron. When is the recap of New Jersey going to be? The recap of New Jersey will be done on Thursday. Thursday with Miami and Vanderpump Rules. Because we have a lot to talk about. But like I was saying before, we have 2 recap episodes a week and we also have a guest. This week we have Laura from New Jersey. She is an ex-friend of March and she spilled a lot of tea that is going to be very important for this season. So go listen to that episode or watch it on my YouTube channel. And like I always say, besties, if you are enjoying this conversation, please rate the podcast because that's how we survive a podcaster. Just a rate or a subscribe get us a long way. So thank you so much, you guys, for being here tonight. And like I always end my every show, say it with me, besties. Bye, besties.